Hello again, this is Jason. This practice is going to focus, once again, I call it yin flow or energy flow yoga, and we'll be focusing in on primarily upper body, thoracic, and neck, although we will still start in a lying down sequence just to warm up the breath and the spine, and then we'll be moving into a sitting sequence and then finally moving into a standing sequence. I'll remind you again that your main focus of this practice is mental concentration and pranayama, learning how to deepen and control your breath. Those two factors will help your nervous system relax, and as your nervous system relaxes, your body will begin to relax. So our main goal here is to release stress, and the side effect is we'll also become more physically flexible. I hope you enjoy. So we'll begin lying down on our backs in what's called shavasana posture, or sometimes it's called the corpse pose. Whichever you like. So as you lie there, again, first thing you'll do is take your attention into your body and do what's called a body scan. Just an overall body scan where all you're going to do is take in information. When you're doing a body scan or when you're doing meditation, you're not trying to alter anything, you're just trying to feel what's actually going on. You're trying to access reality as it actually is. So maybe today you feel good, maybe you feel really low energy, who knows. As you take in the information, I want you to do your best to take a mental note so that we can compare how we feel when we do this at the end of the practice. Notice the areas that are tight and notice the areas that feel open. And then we'll begin with full diaphragmatic belly breathing. In this practice, I will be doing a little bit less explanations on some of the principles because I went in more detail in the lower body series that we did last time. But once again, you're breathing from the lower belly all the way up towards the upper chest, like a wave. Sometimes this is also called wave breathing. So what that looks like is I have to drop the diaphragm down, and as the diaphragm goes down, it opens up my lungs, and it also pushes the belly open. I'm going to do other videos or practices that will go much deeper into the effects of the breath on the body, on the mind, on the emotions and energy. So for now, we'll just work with it, breathing down as the belly fills, move the breath up towards the upper chest, like you're filling up a bottle of water, and don't force your breath open. So as you move the breath up, when you start to encounter contraction or tension, just go to the edge of that and then come back down, okay? It's like anything else. If you haven't been doing deep breathing for a long time, you can't expect to just force everything open all of a sudden it's going to work. You have to do this slowly. This path of working internally is a slow path. The turtle always wins the race, not the rabbit. The rabbit wins the race in society, but the turtle wins the race when it comes to self-regulation or well-being. Please remember to keep your mouth and your jaw relaxed as often as you can remember. If you clench your jaw, you're actually sending a stress signal to the nervous system, and the jaw has a relationship with the sympathetic nervous system and the adrenal glands. So the act of relaxing the jaw is also telling your body it's okay, you can let go. We'll be doing some different warm-ups than we did in our last practice. So the next part of the breath that you're going to do is 3-part breathing. So what that means is I'm going to take my diaphragmatic breath that I've been doing and I'm going to break it up into 3 sections. The lower section, belly, midsection, which is solar plexus, bottom of the sternum, and then upper section, which is upper chest and collarbone area. So there's a hole between each section. What I'll do is I'll begin by inhaling into the bottom third. And once I do that, I'm going to hold my breath for, again, maybe 2 to 4 seconds or a little bit longer if you have good breath control. And then you move 2/3 full of your breath. Okay, so 1/3 full, hold, 2/3 full. So take in that next third, hold your breath. Notice the area that's being stretched by your breathing. And after you do your hold there, you go full breath all the way up. So complete breath. And then hold. And then you'll exhale, releasing the breath out the nose and tucking the chin and tailbone, flattening your spine a little bit deeper. So we're not doing the deep spinal arch on this one, but you still want to try to tuck and release the spine. So exhaling, squeezing the breath out of you, and then hold the breath out of your body for, again, a couple seconds. We're going to do this for probably 2 minutes or 3 minutes, somewhere in that range. I don't really define it precisely by the second. I'd rather just flow organically. So once again, 1/3 full, hold your breath. 2/3 full, hold your breath. Full breath, hold your breath. Long, continuous exhale, tucking the chin and tailbone, squeeze the breath out of you, and hold your breath. Now remember, the breath holds are not to the point where you start to feel agitated or panicky. Those are a different form of breathing that can help us access deeper blocked emotions, but rather you're just bringing it kind of to your edge. And then the second thing I want you to notice is what are the physical body parts being stretched out by your breathing. So for instance, when I breathe into the bottom of my belly and I drop the diaphragm, I'll notice that my pelvic floor stretches, my belly stretches, the side of my hips and my lower back, so it's opening from the inside. When I go 2/3 full, I've got the bottom of the ribs, sides of the ribs, mid-back, midsection of the torso, which is around the solar plexus, all being opened. And then upper would be upper chest, collarbone, upper back, shoulders expanding. So you're not just taking in the breath and the prana, but you're also stretching the body out in a way that you can't stretch it out in just stretching. Okay, just in your regular stretches, you're actually pushing the pressure out, which is stretching the structure, opening up the deep internal connective tissues, tendons, and a lot of the time, a lot of the stress that you're carrying around is actually deep inside the body. So the breath has multiple effects going on with every breath. Let's do 1 or 2 more of those. As you get better at these practices, then you can learn to deepen your hold. And as you deepen your hold, now remember, in the teaching of pranayama, I just use the word generally for any type of controlling your breath, but when you go a little bit deeper into it, they'll often talk about the fact that the hold is the actual pranayama, not the inhale and the exhale. But for the sake of the practice, I'm not going to make a big differentiation in that, because modifying your breath, just deep breathing, has multiple effects on your body anyway, even without the holds. Good, so after we're done this breath, we'll move to the third part. The third opening flow here, we're going to bend the knees, and we'll have the knees and the ankles touching, and then we'll have the arms straight up above the chest with the palms together. So this is going to be your exhale position. So I've got the knees and the palms touching, and when you exhale, you're just going to press your hands and knees together using a little bit of strength. When you inhale, so I have the chin tucked in, I'm going to slowly open the legs into butterfly, open the arms out to the side, come into a full inhale, reaching the fingers out, arch of the spine. This is my inhale. And then exhale, slowly closing the knees, closing the arms. As you're doing that, you're tucking the chin and tailbone and then pressing the palms and the knees together. So that's your exhale. So once again, inhale, expand, open. Reach out of the fingers, open posture. Exhale, slowly close. And again, you don't have to follow my speed. You can even go slower if you like, or if this is too slow, then you can speed it up a little bit. I'll remind you, like I did before, that less repetitions is better than more repetitions here. So if you're a person who's really busy or has a lot of stress, you'll see that your mind will try to speed you up. Okay, as though if I can just start to do more reps, somehow that's going to get me somewhere, which of course it won't. I have to slow the movement down. Now, if I want to influence my mind, and I have a very hard time concentrating, slowing down, what I can do is slow down my body movements, which then begins to slow down my mind and slow down my nervous system. They all work together. So let's do this for a little bit longer. And when we're done this flow, we'll work into our first hold. So exhaling, chin tucks into the throat, tailbone tucks through, press the palms and knees together. Inhale, open the body up into a full arch. Keep the jaw relaxed. If you want to work a little bit with Ujjayi or ocean breath, you can do that if you know what that is. Creating a little bit of a sighing sound through the breathing. The next time you exhale, before we go into the hold, you'll bring your hands and knees together, tuck the chin in, and now gently press the palms and knees into each other, using about, let's say, 30 or 40% of your strength. Of course, you're breathing at this time. And then on your next inhale, open all the way out. Let the legs open, arms open. And then we'll come into our first hold. So this is very much a yin hold. You don't have to do anything. You have the bottom of the feet together, the legs are open, gravity is doing all the work. Reach out of your fingertips so the chest is open too, but then once you've reached as far as you can, relax your arms. Tuck the chin in. And then you're back in full belly breathing, full diaphragmatic breath from this position. And the object of your mind or your meditation are the areas that you feel stretching. So maybe it's very obvious that you're getting a stretch here in the thighs. Maybe you feel this more in the chest, maybe in a few places. Try to keep your mind there. And if you'd like a slight modification, a little bit of a deeper concentration breath, what you can do with your breath is inhale from the belly all the way up to the chest. And then with your mind, exhale out from the chest all the way down to your palms. And the more you concentrate, the more you'll feel that. So this is a way of guiding the energy. Yin holds are a minimum of about 45 seconds to a minute normally, because you need that much time to start to let go and start to allow the connective tissue and the tendons to release. And if you study yin yoga, or if you go to yin yoga classes, you're probably going to be in these holds for about 5 minutes. And so on this channel, I'll give you modifications where we're holding for a short time and then a longer time, and then maybe for the full 5 minutes if that's what would be better for you. So on your next exhale, we're going to slowly bring the body in. So I'm going to bring the knees up to my chest, grab hold of the knees, pull them into my chest, tuck my chin in, and then breathe into my hip sockets. We'll do just a little bit more from our backs so that we're focusing primarily upper body here. Let's do a little opening for the hip sockets and the lower back. So I'm going to place my hands on my knees, and from here I pull the legs open into butterfly, and then I inhale, roll down to the tip of my tailbone, close the knees, and exhale, pull them deep into my chest. So as you inhale, the legs go away from you. As you exhale, you bring the knees in towards you. Use your hands like a lever to guide the stretch open. Pull the knees into the chest. So it's always your breath that is moving you instead of your thinking mind. You're just following, following your inhale and your exhale. Next time you come up to your chest, you're going to reverse it. So you bring the knees in, and you have the knees together, and then with the knees together, you inhale, roll down to your tailbone, and then you open the legs and exhale, pull them back up towards your chest, closing the knees. You're going to notice a natural arch that might be happening back and forth in your neck. That's fine. And then after you come through this time, placing the feet down, we'll have the feet flat. And you'll have the feet waist width apart, and then checking into your body again, taking a few deep breaths. Just noticing the work you've done so far. Now, by the way, if I bring the heels, let's say 6 to 8 inches or so from my glutes, and then I relax into this position without trying to do anything at all, I have the legs straight, so the thighs and the shins are lined up. This is actually a pretty deep release for the psoas muscle, because this is a relaxation position for the psoas. I won't go into a lot of detail on the psoas, but you can look it up. It's a very important muscle, and it often creates a lot of problems in people's bodies, especially if you've had a lot of stress. So all you would do for a 5-minute session, or even a 10-minute session, is relax into this position, go into your breathing, and begin to notice that area on the inside of your pelvis going up into your abdomen. The psoas is a fairly tricky muscle to stretch out. So that's just a side note. Okay, so from here, let's release the legs. Give them a little shake. Roll the ankles around. Okay, and then we're going to come up into sitting posture. And we're going to do some fairly deep work on the neck, shoulders, thoracic. Okay, so what we'll begin with is a bit of a deeper sequence for opening up the posture. So I'll go through this with you. So your posture, when you're trying to stack your posture, you've got to start at the bottom and move towards the top. Okay, like if you're building a building, you want the foundation to be solid. You're not going to make a weak foundation and then put top heavy. But this is often what happens. If this is out of place and then I try to bring my shoulders up and over, there's no way I'm going to find a position that's comfortable. So I start here. So the first gateway would be the lower belly and the lower back. The second gateway is the chest and the shoulder blades. And the third gateway will be the throat and the back of your neck. And we're going to do a release for each one. Okay, so this will take a little bit of time, and it's actually very beneficial. We're going to work in this sequence quite a bit on releasing the fascia. So I'll be giving you some fascia release stretches, and some of these stretches come from a book, a really brilliant book that I found called the pain cure, and the author's name is Chu. I've studied fascia release in different regards, and as I mentioned before, I'm a body therapist, so I often will do fascia work, and slowly coming to understand just how important it is to be able to let go of that connective tissue. A real brief intro is that the fascia is right underneath your skin. So if you look at your skin and you had to peel the skin off, you would have this white layer that covers the whole body in a matrix, and it also goes through every organ, every muscle, cross fibers, okay? And there's a lot of evidence that the energy system of the body very much follows the fascia system. So when you're stressed out, you can stretch the muscles all you want, but sometimes it's the fascia itself that's tight. Okay, so what it'll feel like if I'm doing body work on somebody who has a lot of stress, a lot of chronic stress, is their whole body feels hard to the touch. So that it's almost like you're inside of your own straitjacket, you know? And that fascia is very affected by what's going on in your mind. So if I'm ruminating and thinking a lot of stressful thoughts, and there's a pretty good chance my fascia is going to start to tighten up around me. You have to realize the power of your mind. Most of your stress comes from there. You know, you have your outside circumstances, but it's your internalization of that stress that we have to get on top of. So I hope that makes sense. So let's do the first gateway here. Okay, so I'm going to take one hand and place it on my lower belly, like that. And the back of the other hand will come behind me. So you're holding your lower body in this position, and then using your hands like a guide. So when I inhale, I'm going to pull up with the back hand and drop the stomach into the front hand. And you're going to try to isolate just the lower belly here. So I inhale, come into a deep arch of my lower back, expanding the belly, and then exhale, pull up on the front hand and push down on the back hand and tuck your tailbone as deep as you can, opening up your sacrum and your SI joint. So inhale, roll forward. Exhale, tuck deeply, stretch open the lower back, pull up with the front hand. You'll see that a lot of the times I'll close my eyes, because when your eyes are closed, you'll be able to feel a lot more than when the eyes are open. Let's do a few more of those. Exhale, tuck, inhale, roll forward. Okay, and then we'll try to find the center of your hips here. So to find the center, just move around on your sit bones until it feels like your stabilizers engage deep in your body, till it feels like you could actually just stay there without a whole lot of effort. If you have a lot of problems in your hips or your lower back or any other injuries like that, then you might want to do this from a cushion, or even better, from a straight back chair. I'll remind you again that don't push into a stretch that is going to cause a lot of pain response in your body. It's not worth it. It's not going to help you release anything. Yoga is not a competition. Yoga is an integration. Okay, so this is gateway number one. If this gateway is not in place, I can't really get my upper gateway in place. Okay, so we'll be coming back to this when we do a short pranayama session. Second gateway, this one is going to be a very deep fascia release. This one I modified myself when I was doing my own practice, but there's lots of variants of this. So I'll explain a couple principles here. When I'm exhaling, okay, so when I flex the chest muscles together and open up the shoulder blades, I'm releasing the mid-back and the rhomboids. But since the fascia is completely connected like a matrix, if I want to release the fascia in the center of my back, I've got to release my fingers and my hands. If I keep the hand relaxed, then there's no pull on the other end of the elastic, right? So this part's being pulled, but this part is not. There's nothing happening there. So I'm going to show it to you. This one's very deep. It's a great stretch for releasing more or less the whole upper body. And the second part of this range of motion is when I bring the shoulder blades in and down, I'm releasing the front deltoid and the front chest muscle. So when you flex the rhomboids in, that's the muscle between the shoulder blades, you're going to release this area. Okay, we're going to do this for maybe a minute and a half, something like that. And again, you can do it longer on your own. So when I exhale, what I'm doing is I'm going to bring the arms up like this, open the hands as wide as I can, and then bow my back, almost like you're coming into cat posture from your hands and knees. But you want the hands out in front of you. So let me show you a few points of this. So fingers are splayed wide, pull the fingers underneath, and then push straight out of the top of your wrist like you're locking your elbows, like that, and then tuck your chin and tailbone in and bow your back and open the shoulder blades as deep as you can. And you'll feel this. You might even come down a little bit more like that if you want to increase the stretch. Okay, this is your exhale. Inhale, you come up like this. You're going to grab an imaginary bar, like in a gym, and then you pull down like that as you arch the back and lift the chin a bit. Squeeze the shoulder blades together and down as deep as you can. So this is applying some effort, okay? And then we'll start to flow with it. So exhale, tuck the chin and tailbone, open the back, push out of the top of the wrists. And again, the more that you splay the fingers, the more the pull ends up in here. Inhale, open, pull down, shoulder blades together. Squeeze. And let's work with that. Pay attention to what's going on inside your body. Don't let your mind disassociate. You'll notice, if you can hear my breathing, that I'm working a little bit with Ujjayi breath, ocean breath. I find that helps my mind concentrate. Remember to curl the wrists under, pull the fingers through. That's an important part of the stretch. And then the next time you exhale, we're going to hold the posture and work the breath. So come into the posture, collapse the body, tuck the chin, tailbone, open the fingers, and now breathe right into the center of your back and shoulder blades. And then come through, and we'll bring the hands down to the lap. We've been sitting for a little while. If you want to take a moment right now to shake out the legs, if you need to, we'll just wait. Last gateway. So you've just worked this, now you've worked this. The last gateway. This gateway moves like this. These, the bottom and top one, move like this, like a lever. So now we've got the throat and the back of the neck. This is one of the best stretches for opening up the throat. So we often will get a lot of tension here, the cartilage, or stress will settle in here. I believe this is called turtle crane neck. Like I said, I also teach Qigong. And so in these practices, they often overlap. I don't really see a separation between the systems anymore. This one's a little bit odd looking. So what you'll do is you're going to lead with your chin. So what I begin with is I extend the chin out like this, and I'll start to feel a stretch in my throat. And from there, I'm going to reach out and then roll the chin down into my chest and inhale, roll up like ragdoll, just with my neck. So I inhale up, reach out, tuck the chin, inhale, roll up. As you're doing it, you could also picture, say, a trunk on an elephant coming down, scooping the water, inhale, roll up. So you're doing this motion with your neck, leading with the chin down, opens the throat, tuck the chin, opens the back of the neck, roll up. It's a difficult area to stretch, actually, often is the throat with the cartilage there. The next time you come through and roll up, we're going to stack the spine completely, and then we'll do a very short session of Ujjayi breath. So start at the bottom, get that into place, shoulders up and over, and then dropped with the palms up, and then the chin tucks in, opening the back of the neck and skull, reaching the crown for the ceiling. And let's go back to full diaphragmatic belly breathing, bringing that sighing sound of Ujjayi breath. So when you're doing it, it's like you're putting a little bit of friction in your throat. I'll exaggerate it a bit, but it sounds like this. doesn't have to be that loud, but you do want to make sure you can hear the breath so that you're getting that effect. It's a much deeper breath for both directing energy and relaxing the nervous system. So you can work with this whenever you need to, using the belly. And we'll just do regular ocean breath. In the last session we were doing the inhale, double the exhale. Right now let's just regulate it for the time being. Feeling into your breath, relax your jaw, relax your mouth, relax your forehead and your eyes. It's important to try to learn how to relax your face, because as you relax your face, that also tells your body that it can relax, because the face is the place that we interact with the world. Most of our senses, right? Come through the hearing, the sight, the taste, smell. So this is the area that I interact with the world, and if I'm clenching my face, if I'm showing clenching in my jaw, my eyes and so on, I'm actually telling my body too that there's something wrong, obviously. So when doing relaxation techniques, I would recommend trying to learn to relax your face first. When you're doing a pranayama session, or if you're doing a meditation, then purposely and consciously try to relax the different areas that you notice that you're clenching. And again, the most important one is probably the jaw, because when I clench the jaw, that's a very clear signal to my nervous system that there's something wrong. And it took me about a year to learn how to stop chronically clenching my jaw. Okay, and then we'll move on with the practice. Let's first release the legs and give them a little shake. Roll the ankles around a few times. Okay, and then we're going to come into one hold on the mat just for the whole upper body, and then we'll do some standing work from here. Okay, so I've got the body upright. First thing I'll do is I'm going to try to bring the shoulders up and over, stack the spine, and take a couple deep breaths. To do this, you'll probably feel you really have to engage your back muscles, and you might feel quite a deep pull here. So this will be a yin fold. So when you come into the fold, you're not going to try to pull yourself down. You'll just apply a very slight pressure. Okay, so in a yang practice, I might be really using muscle strength to get myself down. Here, you're just going to let your body hang with gravity, let gravity do everything, and you use your breath, and I'll give you a bit of guidance when we're in it. So from here, I inhale up, reach out of my fingers, open my waist, and then I'm going to exhale out over the legs, and I can let my hands just rest on the ankles or the shins, like this. Let the body hang forward, and you'll see that once I'm in this position, I'm not actually trying to do anything. I'm just letting gravity work on me, and then immediately I go back into deep breathing. So with my mind, I'm in the fold, and then begin to explore your body and try to feel where is the primary tension that you feel in this posture. So it could be in the back of your legs, it could be in your spine, in your back, in your neck, or you might have multiple areas. Concentration, breath work, remember, is the most important thing that we're working on here, not the stretch. The stretch is secondary to that. So with your mind inside, begin to breathe into the tightest point that you can feel. And every time you exhale, you want to imagine you're decompressing a little bit more. So what that would look like if I'm in the forward fold and I'm taking a deep breath. Now there's different versions of forward fold, I know that. So right now we're working the back and the legs. If I kept my back straight and I came down, I'm not coming down as far because it's focusing more on the legs. So this one is just an unfoldment decompression. I take a deep inhale, and when I exhale, I decompress a tiny bit more. So every time you exhale, you can go down just a smidget more using your mind, using your focus. If you get to a point where it feels like that's definitely plenty for me, then don't try to go any deeper, just stay there with your breath. So we'll be here a little bit longer. slowly come out of it. We'll do this on the inhale, rolling up, and the last thing we'll do from this position is I'll bring my shoulders up and over the shoulder blades, and I'm going to walk the hands out behind me a little ways. As you walk the hands out behind you, open the hands as wide as you can, push into the center of your palms. Squeeze the shoulder blades together, extend the solar plexus forward, and then you can let the head fall back only if your neck is okay with that. A lot of people, the neck is not okay with that. I've had several accidents and blunt force impacts, so I probably could do it, but it's not great for me, so I'm not going to let the head fall back. Just open it up a little bit, and then you're focusing your breath right into the center of the solar plexus. Breathe from one shoulder to the other, and remember what we learned a little bit earlier. When I bring the shoulder blades in together, I'm going to release the connective tissue right across the upper chest and shoulders. And then relax. Let's come back to sitting just for a couple of release breaths before we then move into the last part of the practice, which will be standing. So coming in, release breaths, inhale through the nose, and then long exhale, sighing out the mouth. Get ready to come up to standing. Okay, so we're going to come up and let's start with the hands on the waist. We'll do a few rotations of the hips. While you're doing these rotations, instead of keeping your body stiff and straight, try to bring a little bit more movement right into the hips, almost like you're separating your torso from your hips and your upper femur, the upper part of your thigh from your hips. I suppose this might be a little bit like how they would do releasing and belly dancing. I have no idea. Just a thought. Let's go the other way. Rotating the hips. And we'll continue with the theme of releasing the upper body. So from standing, and what I'm going to show you, you could also do from a sitting posture. All right, but some of you will find it better for standing. When you're standing, just have a little bend in your knees. Okay, you don't want to be stiff-legged. We'll be about waist width apart. I'll bring the shoulders up and over for a moment and just check in with this kind of stacked posture. So remember what we did in sitting. We stacked the spine from the tailbone all the way to the head. You can do the same thing with standing. I'll go into this a lot deeper when I do my Qigong sequence in a later video. Okay, so stacked spine, we'll do some rotations, or I should say half rotations of the neck. So you're going to bring your right ear over to your right shoulder without turning your head. So you just drop it over and you'll feel that this starts to stretch out what's called the scalenes area, scalenes muscle on the side of the neck. I'll take a deep breath into the left side of my neck, and then I'll exhale and slowly roll the chin across the upper chest until you get to the other ear. So instead of doing full circles, you're just going half circles. When you get to the left ear, left shoulder, breathe into the right side of your neck. Exhale, slowly roll across. And we'll do a couple more of those. next time you roll through, we're going to stack the spine again, so you'll bring the chin in, and then we'll do a specific fascia release for the side of the neck. This is the first stretch that comes from the book that I mentioned earlier. It's very specific, and we'll go through it step by step. So let's start with the right hand down like this. So I've got the right hand splayed open as wide as I can, and I'm going to keep it splayed open. I'll take my right arm and start bringing it behind me. Now, the elbow is straight. As you bring the arm behind you, you don't want to turn your shoulders. You want to try to keep your shoulders squared off. Once you can't go really any further, pull the wrist back like this on the right hand and push, and you're going to feel stretch move up to here. The next part of this, I'll turn just a little bit to the left. So you're not turning all the way over, just a little bit to the left. Drop the left ear into the left shoulder and push straight out of that back hand, and you're going to start to feel this pull go right into the side of your neck. And then the last little bit is unhinge the jaw to the left side. So you would release the jaw over to the left as you drop the left ear in, and now breathe all the way up to the neck. You'll know it if you're in the right position. When you're stretching fascia, you're going to feel quite a burn actually going on. And then release, and just shake that arm out a little bit. A lot of people have tension here. Same thing, other side. Left palm splayed wide open. Bring the left arm behind you until you can't go any further. Don't turn your shoulders. Pull the wrist back. Push out of the palm. Turn to the right just a little bit. Drop the right ear to the right shoulder. Adjust your chin position till you feel like you're stretching right into the side of the neck, and then unhinge your jaw over to the right. And this is an active stretch, so you're pushing out from the hand behind you. And release. Shake your arm out. In fact, let's just shake out both arms. So we'll come into this, so you'll start to let your arms just float back and forth. You'll start to bring your legs into it, and then you'll inhale, float up, exhale, drop. On your next inhale, come up, hold, open the hands wide, reach up, and then open the shoulder blades down a little bit like you're holding here. Breathe into your shoulders and your back. Arms come down. We're going to come into half eagle posture with a little modification. So I'll reach out through the fingers, bring the right elbow over the left elbow at the crease like this, and then try to roll the arms around each other. And make contact with the palms. It doesn't have to be quite palm to palm. It depends on what you've got going on in your shoulders. I had a major operation on my shoulder, so there's some things I can do to a certain degree. So I'll go sideways here for a sec. We're going to pull the elbows away from the body like this. So instead of doing this, try to keep the back fairly straight. Pull up and away until you start to feel a pretty deep release up underneath the shoulder blades, subscapularis. As you pull up and away, I'll come back this way, I'll tuck the chin in a little bit, and I'll tuck the tailbone a little bit like I'm trying to pry my shoulder blades open. And then from there, I'm going to breathe into the center of my back. So what you're doing is you're breathing right into the center of your back. Up underneath the shoulder blades, subscapularis muscle. This opens up the subscapularis, it also opens up the rotator cuff. From here on your next inhale, we'll come up like this. So inhale, slowly reach out on a 45-degree angle, reach out through the fingers, and we'll hold this for a couple of breaths. The key here is your breath. If you find a position starts to get really intense, you'll notice that you might right away try to hold your breath. That's a form of resistance. When you take a deep breath, that's a form of acceptance. Exhale down like this, and then we'll come into ragdoll. So to come into ragdoll, I start by tucking my chin in, and I'm going to try to roll the spine out one vertebrae at a time as I come down. So I wouldn't come into ragdoll like this. You tuck the chin in, and then take an inhale, and on your exhale, start to roll out one vertebrae at a time. Okay, take your time. Coming down one disc at a time until you come into a forward hang. When you come into the forward hang, if you're flexible enough to actually touch the floor like that, stop before you get to that point so that the arms are dead weight. And then begin to, as you're holding that, breathe into the center of your back. Imagine you're breathing into your shoulder blades, and then you're exhaling down to the hands. And when I'm holding this, you can also try to visualize the tension in your neck and back is like water, and it's going to slowly come down the arms and drip off the tips of your fingers. To come up out of ragdoll, same thing. You don't want to just haphazardly lift your body up. But if you watch what I do, I'll bend my knees, and then I'm going to push straight down into the floor as I tuck my tailbone. So I push straight down, tucking the tailbone between the legs. I'll roll up one vertebrae at a time. As you get up to the top, you bring the shoulder blades up and over, and then drop them. And then notice the work that you just did. Take a couple deep breaths. Try to keep your spine pretty stacked here. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. The arms come out. I'll go left over right. And then roll the arms around each other. And then from there, pull the elbows up and away from the chest. And when you're doing it again, don't force it. Pull up and away. Tuck the chin a little bit. Tuck the tailbone slightly. And then picture elongating into the center of your back. So you're bringing the shoulder blades apart, you're breathing right up underneath the shoulder blades and into the rotator cuff. Keep your jaw relaxed. This is one of those peculiar stretches that gets into some areas that are generally very hard to stretch. One of them being the muscle underneath your shoulder blade. Okay, so from here again, on your next inhale, lift the elbows up, slowly unwind the arms. This time I'm going to inhale up like this and push the ceiling away. And I'll take a little arch of my back. You don't have to bring the head back here, but what you're doing is stretching from the belly button all the way up to the throat. And you're also stretching from the wrist down into the back. And then we'll slowly bring the arms down. You can take a full breath once you get down here. So you could exhale the arms down, take a deep breath in, and then exhale ragdoll, tucking the chin, exhaling, unwinding the spine one vertebrae at a time, coming down little by little until you come into a full hang forward. And then we're going to continue down to the mat now, so bending the knees, rolling down. We're going to come into sitting just for a couple of minutes. Okay, so once back into sitting, let's go into Ujjayi breath again. But this time we're going to exhale out the mouth. So I call these release breaths. Sit however is comfortable for you. So shoulders up and over, stacked. Back to the throat sound, except the exhale will come out the mouth like a sigh. So I'll inhale. Exhale. As you're doing it, keep your spine stacked. So remember the 3 gateways we talked about? While you're doing the breath, try to imagine you're releasing, you're letting everything go. Okay, so you're taking the energy and it's like you're washing all the tension out of you. At the end of this practice, we'll do a movement for releasing tension that I often use in my classes. So then we're going to come down into shavasana. You can come down the same way using the core muscles. So I've got the legs out to the side, stacking the spine. I'll take a deep inhale and then I'm going to exhale and slowly release myself down 1 vertebrae at a time until you roll your spine into the floor. Let your hands, palms, arms be in whatever position feels the most neutral for you. And right away you'll do another check-in like we did at the start, a body scan, and try to see, what do you feel now? What changes do you feel? Can you tell if you've relaxed your nervous system by this point? And this is like your reset button. You can spend as much time as you like in shavasana. You know, sometimes people can spend 20 minutes, even a half hour if you feel like it. One of the best times to relax is after having done all the stretching and the pranayama. Pay attention to whatever you feel in your body that signals relaxation, such as expansion, tingling, waves, circulation. Okay, and then we can bring a little movement to the hands and feet. And again, if you want to stay here longer, feel free to do that. Coming into fetal posture, or coming up however you like. From this position, we're going to come into a closing movement. So I'll stack the spine. And the closing movement, this comes more from Qigong, so you'll bring the arms out to the side, and what I want you to do is imagine you're bringing energy up to the top, even if you're not sure what that looks like, and then you're going to exhale and bring the hands down, and imagine you're pushing all the tension out of your body, so bring the arms out, inhale, exhale. As I'm exhaling, I always lean down with the elbows. The elbows are heavy to keep the shoulders relaxed. 2 more breaths. Almost like you're just pushing the hands both around the body and inside the body, releasing everything else that you don't need. And that would include most internalized stress we don't need. After 3 of those, we'll come into closing, inhaling up, palms together, exhaling, prayer posture. And just take a few moments here. Closing, taking a bow.